Shalom. All praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone. Shalom to the Bakiyar. Spirit hopped on me to go into the enforcement of the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father in the nation of Israel, in the congregation, and how we never had a police system. All right, there was never a task force of appointed officials, if you will, that enforced the keeping of the law, statutes, and commandments, because it was something that each and every one of us, each and every Israelite was responsible to do, man. That it's outlined all throughout the scriptures. If you look at it, like, we're all law enforcement. All right, each and every individual Israelite is responsible to fucking rebuke, to rebuke each neighbor and brother, fellow Israelite, according to the law. All right, there's an actual process that is to be undergone with that. Just like you have this so-called justice system. All right, the real model is found within the scriptures, man. And it goes from that rebuking, the warning, to other infractions leading up to, based on the offense, leading up to death, huh? And it shows you that it shows you how involved we are in that law enforcement, because leading up to death, if that be the sentence for that transgression, what that specific transgression, whatever that may be, if death is the sentence for that, to show you how much we are involved in that law enforcement, each individual Israelite is also in charge of and responsible for putting that subject to death. All right, to show you how involved each individual Israelite is involved in that law enforcement, man. They are to literally take part in the carrying out of the judgment according to the law, statutes, and commandments, man. So we're all law enforcement in the nation of Israel, each and every individual Israelite. All right. I'm just going to get some precepts. In Leviticus 19:17 says, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him." All right. So it's an actual law that we are to rebuke our neighbor, our fellow Israelite, the blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. See, that's who we're referring to when we say, that's what we're referring to when we say Israelite, man. All right, and that's for the most part. Generally, the blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. It's not every last one of them, because you have tares within that. And then on the other hand, you have Israelite foreigners, which are fucking people from the other nations, whether it be, so-called African, so-called Indian, East Indian, so-called fucking not Israeli, Slovakia, fucking, what are them fucking Ishmaelites, what do they call them? Them Arabs, so-called Arab, so-called Asian, whatever it may be, or even so-called white. There's people within them that are disguised, that you might think they're of those nations, but they're really Israelites. Because even though appearance is one of the indicators, it's not the end-all be-all for who's an Israelite. It all goes back to your bloodline, your father's father's father, if they were a seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so the Israelites, each fellow Israelite is to rebuke their neighbor based on the laws. All right? You're supposed to get on them. When you look at the other words for rebuke, to reprove and to exhort, you're supposed to, it's like a summons, man. You're showing them one's fault. All right? To admonish. All right? And that there's levels to that as well. You know, you bring it to other members of the congregation first, and there's a chain of command, so to speak. There's a fucking order of operations when it comes to it. All right, and it's showing you right here that you fucking hate your brother in your heart if you're allowing him to go off, because the wages of sin is death. That's why you're suffering it upon him when you don't rebuke him. All right? And that's the fucking problem with our nation. All right? That's one of the main points of this video. One of the main problems with the nation of Israel is that we don't rebuke each other according to righteousness, according to the laws, statutes, and commandments, man. We don't enforce the law on each other. All right? And that's hatred. Not only is it blatant in the form of fucking straight up murdering each other, defrauding each other, crabs in the barrel, fucking dog eat dog, shitting on one another, all right, etc. But that's you're killing him by not rebuking him, man. By not showing where he's going off. Fucking, you know, hey, it's almost like a picture of you know, informing, being an informant, but it's not of the idea of snitching, man. That's what these fucking niggas, they twisted up to make it seem like it's snitching and shit, man. You know? But here, let me get this real quick in the blue letter. It says, this is in Leviticus. Now let me get this. 2 Timothy. So to reprove. Because there's a specific word that goes into this. Okay? It says it goes into something legal. To convict. Okay? To convict. And also, in law terms, is to summons. To bring them up, like, pretty much on charges. All right? To tax with fault. See that? By implication, to forbid. All right. Salakia. So, Khan. So, it's you're suffering sin when you allow that transgression to continue in your brother, man. Essentially killing him. And that's hatred. It's why our nation is so completely fucked off. Because they don't apply these principles, man. They don't enforce the law on each other. It says in Hebrews 3:13, but exhort one another daily while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. Okay, exhort is synonymous with rebuking and reproving, man. You see, when you look at a lawyer, he proves a case. It's a phrase, lawyer, to prove his case. Okay? That's what that is, to reproof. Is to present to that brother that, look, you're going on a path to destruction and it's going to kill you. All right? See, because that deceitfulness of sin, what is the wages of sin? It's pure death. And death by pain. So that exhortation, that rebuke, that reproof is required from each and every one of us, man. Is the checks and balances to ensure that righteousness stays within the congregation, man. And that evil and wickedness and deceitfulness doesn't creep in like a cancer. That's why we're all each in charge, enlisted with that task. All right, to make sure that we don't fucking be destroyed as a people, as a nation. Because look what you have now. Literally, these things were put into place so you don't have what you have now with our people. Completely fucking destroyed. All right, at the bottom of society, the highest in fucking, race on race, infighting, meaning like black on black crime, fucking brown on brown crime, is the is the highest of all nations. All right, fucking poverty, fucking because that's another thing that you get rewarded with sin, with the fucked up life. And if you do have substance, the few niggas and spics that did get some crumbs here, it's an actual fucking curse. All right. The dietary laws, they don't enforce that shit. They have what nation of people, what demographic of people on this planet are lead the pack with degenerative diseases, huh? It's the blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, because we don't enforce the law, the dietary laws on each other. We allow each other to eat fucking pork and fucking shrimp. I saw this on the menu for this one Mexican joint. I was looking for, some soup. And I go on the Dash app to see, because I'll go and pick it up, but I go to see different shit to find it. Type that bitch in and it'll give you a bunch of restaurants locally with what you request on there. And I found a place that fucking, a Mexican joint, Issachar, from the tribe of Issachar, Israelites, with bacon wrapped shrimp. Deep fried bacon wrapped shrimp. Okay? What the fuck is our people doing eating such an abominable dish like that and giving it to our people, man? Let alone fucking forbidding him, okay? Which is what that word reprove and rebuke means. Forbidding him to do so. All right? Therefore, saving his life. Because look at what the causes of eating all that super fucking abominable grub that our people engage in, man. Look at the results of it. See? Because the laws are not grievous. They're set up super scientifically. Each law has a finite science for benefits for your body, man, and health. And going against that, transgressing that, is adverse to health. It's adverse to life. It's a path to death, man. And it says to do this daily, man. It's not a time off fucking vacation like these cops, you know, fucking defund the police, fucking a leave of absence, you know what I'm saying? Sick time. Hey, there's no time off. We're 24/7 to be on duty, so to speak, in the law enforcement of the statutes and commandments of the Heavenly Father upon our people. All right? And that's what had me thinking about this wicked ass law enforcement system of Esau, man. All right? How a lot of it is predicated on corruption. A lot of it is fucking infiltrated with corruption, man. Jude 1:23 says, and others save with fear, pulling them out of the fire, hating even the garment spotted by the flesh. So this is a precept that goes into when you exhort and rebuke your brother, your neighbor, and you call him, you pretty much, when you're pretty much, calling him to the ministry. See, because, and it's not necessarily calling him to what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? What we're doing is we're telling them to come back to the Most High. Okay, let's get some fucking context, Salakia. It's fucking frustrating. Fuck Satan, man. It says, Jude 1 and Salakia. This is basically when you're encouraging your fellow Israelite to come back to the Most High, man. Telling them to get right with the Most High. Okay? That you have to present it to them fearfully with some, okay? It says with others, because that means with some Israelites that don't want to fucking get down with the program. Those ones you're going to have to do it with fear, man, pulling them out of the fire. And that goes into a violent shaking up, if you will, of that fellow Israelite, of the others that it's referring to, the hard-headed ones. You have to save them with fear. It's pretty much telling you, in any circumstance, you got to you got to get them and prevent them from killing themselves, from going into the fire, which is synonymous with death, from being killed by the wages of sin. Okay? Says, let's get that word fair. Ooh. It says, that which strikes terror. Okay? Fear, dread, or terror. To be afraid exceedingly. Okay? To be put in fear, to alarm or fright. Okay? So pretty much at all costs, you are to fucking prevent them from doing that sin. Going back to that law enforcement in Israel that each and every one of us is enlisted to by the Most High. Okay? And I got this to show you. It's even a picture. I got this to illustrate that it's even a picture of violently rebuking, even if it some circumstance it may involve, shaking that man up, shaking that brother, that sister, that fellow Israelite up, man. Straight up, because what's the alternative? Is fucking you dying, man. You're getting burnt up. See? It says in 2 Timothy 4:2, preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. Okay? The doctrine of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the law, statutes, and commandments. We are to reprove, rebuke, and exhort daily. Okay? Be in season, out of season, irregardless of any factors, irregardless of any conditions, any conditions on the fucking planet that may come, man. All right? Because the one moment we take off, the one moment we fail to do so in holding each other accountable for these laws is when you allow that cancer to spread. All right? That wickedness to creep in. And then it spreads like a fucking cancer, man. Which is then imminent destruction for our nation. Okay? That's why you have the men of Great Millstone as the primary examples, starting with the apostles and elders. All right? Who've been extremely diligent in the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right? It says in Leviticus 20:1-2, it says, and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai spake unto Moses, saying, again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. So I got this example through the Spirit, one of dozens where the inhabitants of the land of Israel, or doesn't just have to be the land of Israel, because Israel is a people before it's a place. The people of Israel, okay, Israelites, are enlisted, are required to stone that with stones an Israelite who fucking gives their seed and worships Satan, who gives their seed unto Molech, which is what Israelites were doing in certain times in our history. Fucking, you had wicked ass Israelites fucking burning their babies at the at a goddamn altar, at the altar of a demonic deity. All right, which is definitely against the law, statutes, and commandments. This is enforcement of the law, up into all the way up to the administering of the sentence, the execution of the judgment. See, we weren't just the law enforcement; we're the straight up. What do they say? The judge, jury, execution, judge, jury, and execute. Slakia, fucking Satan. This is the judge, jury, and executioner. All right, straight up. So this is an account proving that the children of Israel, the inhabitants, Slakia, I don't want to get that you confused with inhabitants, because the inhabitants of Israel, because we weren't just in Israel, we're in other areas. It doesn't matter where the fuck we are around the four corners of the earth. All right, we're still required to do this. So any Israelite was required to carry out the judgment, man, the sentence for whatever infraction or transgression was done, based on the severity, man, up to death, up to stoning, where the congregation all participated in that, man. There's no greater expression of us being law enforcement than that. Each and every one of us. See, we are to police each other, because Esau, Edom, the devil the Bible speaks of, he always talks about how America is supposed to be policing the world's nations. Okay? Because if not him, then who else? Then this place would be in chaos. All right? But that's not how the Most High set it up. That's contrary to the scriptures, man. He set it up to where each and every one of us would police each other and have checks and balances within each other, within our own communities. All right? Which is why you have the result you have. All out chaos, confusion, and destruction of all these societies, man. All right? And when you look at it, Israel is the police of the other nations, not fucking America. Because it says in the scriptures, what people be like this, so righteous, so holy, because of our laws, man. So because of our laws, that is one of the main things that fucking makes us superior to these people, is how righteous and how equitable and just our laws are, man. So if anything, Israel is to be policing the nations. But first, we are to police each other, man. We are to enforce the law on each other. Up to this, man, to partaking in putting them to death, to rid our nation of that cancer. That's what it's going to be like in the kingdom ultimately. It's going to be perfect. We're all going to enforce the law, and not on each other, but on the other nations. All right. And here it is, finishing off in Hebrews 8 and 10. For this is the covenant that I'll make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. I'll put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. All right, so the Most High is going to imprint the laws, statutes, and commandments into our psyche, into our minds, into our every fiber of our being, so that we can only perform the law. We'll be programmed to only perform the law. We literally will not be able to. We won't have those functions and that software, so to speak. We won't be able to even access that shit in the kingdom, man. That wickedness and transgression of the law. We're going to be robotic with the law. It's just got to be nothing but righteousness performed by every Israelite. All right, and it says, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, for all shall know me from the least to the greatest. And what does this prove? It says we won't have to teach our neighbors the law and to know Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, which is synonymous with keeping the law, because you don't know the Most High if you're not keeping the laws. All right, so that's one and the same. It's showing you that if we're not going to be doing it in the kingdom, it's showing you that it's required at this moment. All right, it is required for each and every Israelite to get on his fellow neighbor, his Israelite sibling. All right, his Israelite his fellow Israelite. It's required for him to get on him, man, to enforce the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, man. To rebuke them, reprove them, to bring up charges on them, to show one's fault. Okay? Because in the kingdom, we won't have to. All right, it's going to be ingrained in us. But at this moment, we all have been enlisted with task from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right, and as we know that as a nation, it's not going to happen on this side. As a whole, the elect of the nation of Israel is going to get to a level of that, even though we're not going to be able to, number one, keep the law perfectly, number two, enforce each other to do so. We are doing it to the best of our ability, and we're rehearsing the righteous acts. And by virtue that the Most High is going to save them, see enough righteousness in them, enough to save them, is virtue of the fact that the 1/3 is going to be doing this within each other to an extent, man. Enforcing the laws of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right? That's why Esau's fucking traditional system, police system, it's all bullshit. All right? Most High didn't set it up like that. It's found within these scriptures, man. So with that, all praise to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Rakakadash. Shalom.